Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, truer words were never spoken, and if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with, once more, as always. My name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals. We pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more, in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because you're listening. You can subscribe. Hit subscribe for the podcast. Hit that like button. Give us the old 5-star rating, and please subscribe. We're on all major platforms like Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google. We're pretty much everywhere. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So you can give us a like and subscribe there as well. We'd really appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram. At either In the Seats or, we're at In the Seats. What am I saying? Yeah, we're at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because if we love to write about it, and talk about it, and watch it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a good one. We've got a good one. We're doing a little CanCon, and it's a film called We're All In This Together, which is very true, especially when it comes to family. And it's the story of the Parker family, who various members of have had their fair share of complications. And when the matriarch, Kate, miraculously survives plummeting over a waterfall in a barrel, a feat captured on video. Nonetheless, in Niagara Falls, the dysfunctional Parkers have to do something they never thought that would be possible. They have to actually act like they're a family. It's based on the novel by one Amy Jones, and it is written and directed and produced and starring the one and only Katie Boland, who fans would know as a stalwart of CanCon cinema. She has done a bunch of stuff, and for her debut feature, she let's just say she got brave. She plays a dual role. She wrote the screenplay, and she directed the thing, and it really is a fantastic piece of work. It is in theaters now, and I cannot recommend it enough. But we had the pleasure of sitting down with Katie and just what was it about the book that inspired her, and why she took on this multi-headed Hydra role in her debut feature, and how she kind of knocked it out of the park. But like we said, We're All In This Together is available in theaters now, and I do recommend checking it out. But first, enjoy our talk with Katie, because between you and me, it's a darn good one. All right. Well, obviously, first off, just thank you so much for the time today, and congratulations on the film. I mean, I absolutely loved it.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. And thank you so much for talking to me today. I'm really happy to be here.
Now, I guess the first question is walk me through sort of you discovering this book and deciding, okay, this is the one I have to do. This is the story I have to tell.
Right. Yeah. So Amy Jones, the author, and I actually share a literary agent. So I went to our shared agent and I said, I'm looking for a Canadian novel to adapt, direct, and star in. What do you have? And he said, I have one that I think you'll really love. The only twist is if you're going to star in it, you'd have to play twins. And almost immediately, as soon as he said that, I thought, this is such a challenge. I have to do this. And then luckily I read the book, and within 5 pages, I just knew that this was the movie that I wanted to make. And Amy is so incredibly talented, and it was so kind that she gave me the option and gave me the book. It's a bestseller, and it's I just feel very, very lucky that got to be my first film.
No, I mean, I guess that dovetails into the next question. Why did you feel the need to not just direct, adapt, but also star twice? Did you just want to jump into the deep end on the first time and just sort of get it out of the way?
Yeah, there was definitely a part of that, certainly. And I also was just very fascinated by both of these characters. And I loved the family and sort of the whole ecosystem of the book. I thought was very, very interesting. I also have worked so much as an actress that for me, I was like, well, what would be a real challenge? What would be something that someone else would not let me do? So that was sort of my thinking. I was like, only I would allow myself to direct myself as twins. So I have to do that.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I guess that dovetails into the next question. How do you sort of direct yourself?
So it can be a complicated process. I think what you have to do is you have to really trust yourself, and you have to have trust who is behind the camera. So I had a phenomenal cinematographer named Colin Holt, and I really trusted him. I also had my mother, who's a very experienced, amazing filmmaker, as the executive producer. So she was watching the monitors. So I knew that in moments when I couldn't watch playback, I had two sets of eyes that I really trusted. How you direct yourself essentially is you really rehearse a lot beforehand, and you make sure you know exactly what you want to do on the day, and that you're very prepared, because there's not a lot of time. Like in making a Canadian film, you might get 2 or 3 takes. So I knew that going in. So I knew I needed to be very clear on what I wanted from my performances.
How important was it for you to sort of craft this film in a very distinctively visual way? Because I mean, I thought some of the interiors, particularly inside the family house, looked really amazing. Like, how important was it for you to stage these shots in a way that felt maybe sort of bigger than what the environment allowed for?
It was very important to me. I remember I said to the production designer, like, the house is a character, and we need to get into the house and immediately know a lot about this family. Again, the cinematographer is incredible, and we worked very closely to find a way to shoot it so that you felt emotionally a little off kilter, like any of the family members would. But I was heavily involved in the production design, and I knew, like, this isn't a film with a large budget, but it couldn't look like a film that didn't have a large budget. That was very important to me.
No, I mean, I love that the film's coming out now, because I mean, obviously when you're making, you can't sort of anticipate, but to me, this feels very indicative of, just as we're all coming out of post-COVID and kind of forgetting how to deal with each other, like this feels like a real sort of perfect encapsulation of that. How does it feel for you to sort of be making something that kind of feels almost prescient of the times?
Wow. Well, firstly, I'm very grateful that you said that. The film's release was definitely delayed multiple times because of COVID. So that was stressful in moments, because you just, as a filmmaker who's been working on this film for a long time, I just wanted it out into the world. But I do feel like you're correct in saying that now actually feels like the right moment. I know I was worried during the height of COVID when we were shooting that it being called "We're all in this together," people would have PTSD because of the COVID slogan. But I feel lucky that enough time has passed that it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can hear that again.
I mean, on something like this, obviously Canadian film, you're only getting a couple of, like, walk me through your casting process to find the right people, to not just be right for the characters, but to also have the right energy to sort of know where to go with the material as well.
Right. So I'm very lucky in that I'm very steeped in the Toronto acting community. Like I've worked with most people. Another producer on the film, Paula Brancotti, is a great actress. And so we were able to tap into our resources. As far as casting, I held one casting session that was the day before the world shut down for COVID. And then the movie was delayed for like 4 months. So what I basically did was just offer roles to friends of mine and people that I knew were exceptionally talented, because I was taking on so much in directing this film and playing the 2 roles that I thought, if I hire actors who are incredible, I almost have to do no work at all as a director. So Martha Burns, who plays Kate Parker, my mother in the film, is the best actress in Canada for my money. And so I knew she would be incredible. Adam Butcher, who plays Gord in the film, is a longtime friend of mine. And I cast him because I really believe him as someone who lives in a small town in Canada.
Now, I mean, I gotta ask, because obviously you've done some short films before you did this feature. What was the big difference in making the jump? I mean, for other than the obvious sort of length of time, like what was the obvious sort of maybe next step in the process of making all this? Because I mean, I can imagine when you're doing a short, obviously you can do it over a weekend, you can just get a few friends and get something together and then get it done. But the feature is obviously going to be a bit more of a different beast. Like, what was the big difference from your perspective?
The big difference is that it's more of a marathon. Like, this film is going to live with you, and you're going to be working hard on it for a year and a half, 2 years. And that feels different than sort of the life of a short. Interestingly, if your short gets funding, if it's not just a project like all my friends are going to come do me a favor, it is as stressful as making a feature. Like the prep process is shorter, the shooting process is shorter. But I say to all my friends, like, if you're going to get money to make a short, you just get money to make a feature. They're equally difficult and equally stressful.
Now I got to ask, are you the actor who's always wanted to direct, or were you the director who got sort of pushed into acting and now finally got to make a film? Like at the end of this process, did you figure out that answer?
That's a great question. I felt limited as an actress, and I had been an actress for so long. And I would say in my early 20s, I thought like I don't want to spend my whole life sort of with my hands out or waiting for someone to pick me. So I feel like as an identity, much more like a director and a writer. So I think I answered by making the film, that answered that question for me, that now my focus is filmmaking and writing and creating for television.
Well, I love that because I mean, especially in this film, there is such a distinct character voice to everything involved in it, and it feels very sort of honestly female driven, if that makes the right sense, without it sort of being sort of a political statement or sort of a hammer over the head kind of thing. How important is it for you to just try to tap into something genuine when you're trying to tell stories?
It's very important, and I think it's challenging, and you're always worried, like, is this going to feel authentic? Does this feel genuine? Will people see this and see some reflection of themselves or their lives? But as far as it being female driven, the book is 400 pages long, and there are many storylines that I couldn't include, and there were many amazing male storylines that I just didn't include, because I felt strongly like I wanted to make a film about these four women and how the mental illness in the family had sort of trickled down through all of their lives and affected them all differently. So that was a conscious choice to make it a female driven film, certainly.
For sure, for sure. Now, all right, just to start putting a bow on this, and this is a bit of
Yeah.
a question, but it's one I always like to ask.
Yeah.
Think back to the younger days. Was there a movie or a moment or a performance that you saw that sort of had the light bulb go off in your head that made you want to get into this business?
Oh, when I was really young, I was always very and have always been very inspired by Sarah Polley. And I feel like she was sort of the first Canadian multi-hyphenate. And now she's moved much more into, obviously she's a filmmaker now and doesn't act anymore. But I thought that what she was doing was really inspiring. And I thought I didn't have a lot of other examples of actresses who had become writers and directors. So she would be one of my greatest inspirations, if not my greatest.
Well, Sarah's the best. That's definitely a good choice.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I mean, obviously, now that this film is sort of getting out there into the universe, can you let it go? Because I mean, I can imagine this whole process was probably very personal for you because again, it's the first one. You want to do it, you want to do it right, but at the same time, I have to imagine there has to be a certain degree of release to let it go into the universe as you want to start getting ready for the next one.
I cannot wait to let it go. I am so excited that it's coming out, and because I have another film that's in development that I'm going to be making this spring, a lot of other projects that I'm very excited about, so I am ready to let this baby out into the world. Yes.
Well, you know what? I'm excited for you because this is really a hell of a piece of work, and just congratulations on that, and thank you so much for the time today.
Oh, thank you. What a lovely interview. I so enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay, speak to you soon.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.